Let's talk about the West because they were out of here early. The Minnesota Timberwolves made a valiant effort to come back in their Western Conference Final Series against the Oklahoma City Thunder, but that lasted only 3 minutes before they were blown out of the gym in Game 5 on the road, 124-94. What's one change you would make to the Timberwolves to improve them for next year, Shelton? I'm going to start with you, brother.
You have to find a point guard. You have to find a distributor to take the ball out of Ant Edwards' hands early so he can get it and make his moves late and not have to control and set up the offense. Right now, when Mike Conley was off the floor, and they may already have that point guard on the team. I think Rob Dillingham could be that. But he didn't get – of course, he's not getting the minutes in the playing time right now because he's still young. But with the ball being in Ant's hands early, it's hard for him to kind of get going because he's trying to set up everybody else. That's the one move that you have to make to take the pressure off of him so every play didn't have to run through him completely for anything to happen. So that, more than anything else, is where this team is lacking.
Shelton, let me ask you this. Is that Finch's fault? Because he's had him all year. Conley is there. He's a veteran. Shouldn't he have been playing and kind of bringing him along throughout the season to get him prepared for certain key moments?
I would think so. The only reason I can't argue with that, though, Ken, is because they made it to the Western Conference Finals. And in saying that, maybe he felt like playing him, those growing pains in there would kind of affect the chemistry and what they had going on. So the team may have not went as far. Maybe that was the thought process behind it. Of course, we weren't privy to the practices. But next year, there's no doubt about it. Either you're going to sink or swim with him. Either he's going to be able to play or you're going to have to bring somebody else in there that can play. But for some reason, I guess he just trusted Conley more with this particular unit and the thought process that they had, which a lot of people, even on this program, thought would have been enough to get them past OKC. But as we could see, it didn't. So,
Shelton, for some reason, 10 plus years of NBA experience, and Ken, at the end of the day, we're like Shelton said, we're not there. We're not privy to the practices and the day-to-day. But Rod Dillingham, I don't disagree with you, Shelton, but maybe he just wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that, and when you look at him physically, it's like, I don't know how much of a beating you could take on the court night in, night out. You know what I'm saying? Just from the level of physicality, especially in the playoffs. I don't think body-wise, physically, he's there yet to contribute. However, I don't disagree in a sense, Shelton, that Mike Conley was a gift and a curse. You needed his NBA experience and wisdom, but you needed him to make shots. There's a montage that I saw when the ball was getting rotated to Mike Conley and how many shots he missed. So for me, I don't even think it's a point guard per se. They need a bucket getter outside of Edwards that can create off the dribble, because Julius Randle had the fucking series of his life. And nobody expected that. Now, can he stay consistent with that? I don't know. I'm pretty sure they'll make the playoffs next season. We'll see how it goes then. But I think they need another bucket getter because everybody else on that squad is a dependent bucket. They depend on Edwards. They depend on somebody else to get them a bucket. Nobody else get. And as much as I like, who's the big man? Nas Reed.
Nas Reed.
Yeah.
Where the hell was he at?
He is 6 man. That's what he showed.
That's what he should be.
Oh,
one last thing, real quick, Lou. The only thing I was going to say is Rob Dillingham did have a sprained ankle, and he missed that first series, so that may have had an effect on him in the playoffs. I'm sorry,
he wasn't getting playing time in the regular season, Shelton.
They need a legitimate number 2. That's what they need. Like if people are comparing Ant Edwards to Jordan, then he needs a Scottie Pippen. It's not Julius Randle. Julius Randle is a good 3 option on a championship team. He's not like he can't be your second best player. If Julius Randle is your second best player, this way you get every year for the Timberwolves.
But so what you're saying? They just need a Scottie Pippen. That's your
he needs a number 2. Like he needs a Robin. He's Batman. We've established that he may not be the face of the league. He may not be top 8 like we're talking about later, but he has established that I am a superstar on a team. but he needs a number 2, and he doesn't have that. I can't go into another season expecting Julius Randle to be the second best player on the team. You're never going to make it where you're trying to get. And that's no disrespect to Julius Randle. He just don't got the skill set to do that. We seen that in the game where we thought Ant Edwards was passive, when Julius Randle only had 5 points. Like that doesn't happen from a legitimate number 2. You can look at D Wade, you can look at Scottie Pippen, Kobe or Shaq, whoever you thought was the number 2 there. Like if Batman is struggling, then Robin has to come through. And so Julius Randle just not that dude.
So you saying they should make a move for Giannis?
I don't know if they need to do that.
Giannis is a number 1. He ain't right. He ain't coming in to be Robin.
At that point, you put Anthony Edwards at 2. At that point, you put
that's not a problem. That's not a problem.
It would have to be a number.
You got 1A, 1B.
I wouldn't disagree with it if I'm Minnesota. That's
it's
cool.
Not 1A, 1B.
But Giannis is not a number 2. Yes. Yeah, Giannis is not a number 2, and he's not a 1A or 1B. He's 1.
If Giannis goes to Golden State, he's number 2. What did you
know?
Yeah, Giannis on every team in the NBA.
Why would you say that?
Not at this age for Steph Curry. That's not true.
He's still not.
If Giannis go to Golden State,
ask Mr. Golden State.
Steph would defer to. Yeah, Steph would defer to Giannis.
Ask Mr. Golden State right now. He deferred to Kevin Durant. Who's number 1 if Giannis goes to Golden State? Is it Steph or is it him?
Giannis is number 1.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know what people are talking about.
Bro, Giannis gonna be 1 anywhere he goes.
Yeah, Giannis is the top 15 player.
If you are Steph, you want Giannis to be number 1.
Yeah, you want him to be number 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He gonna let him.
I'm better if he's Batman.
That's he can be free at that point to do what he does.
He'd be like really an ultra version of what, because he's younger than LeBron, what LeBron is to Luka right now. Like Luka's gonna be number 1 next year, and I think he was number 1 towards the end of the season, this past season. So
didn't help him.
You gotta have a big man to go with that. So
you gotta have a good diet too.
He's skinny now, Nick. So what about you, Nick? What do you think about the Timberwolves?
They want us to just slander Ant-Man, and you was trying to lead the charge last weekend. Don't let I'll let you off the hook on that.
We get to Ant-Man next.
They want to slander Ant-Man. I would say this for the Timberwolves. I don't even fuck with this dude either. But like Lou was talking about, they need to get a Scottie Pippen or a solid number 2. My question was, who is in the market right now that is willing to give up a number 2, or if there's a number 2 available? I don't see that happening. Either you won't get in the draft or you're not. I don't think Kevin Durant is what they need, because they need direction.
That's exactly
they have. They have
exactly what
they have a car with no steering wheel. You know what I'm saying? And I think, because to me, it's like they need a point guard. They need a point guard. They need someone who there's something that they can give direction. Because this car is it's dope and all that, but you can't drive it anywhere. And I think what Ant has showed us is that his ceiling by himself is a conference final. As far as by himself is meaning that he's a number 1. But I think Q's point, I think you always talked about Trae Young. I think that's the conversation. I think that's the conversation we really need to have. And I don't really fuck with Trae Young because he's a defensive liability. But offensively and what he does for the team, he can create and make things easier for Ant. And I don't think Trae Young gave you 5 points in a.
I believe so.
Is Trae Young coming in to be your 2, or is he gonna be a 1?
No, he's your 2 automatically.
He's your 1B. He's your 1B.
But Trae Young is not complimentary to AE though. That's the issue. His game is not complimentary to Edwards.
He led the league this year.
I understand that, but it's hot. But he's ball dominant. He has to have the rock to get those assists.
But are we?
Those assists. Wait, hold on. Because Q, I'm going to go to something that we said either last week or the week before. I think that Trae Young's best place is Orlando with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero. Those guys, that is complementary basketball, because Paolo doesn't need the rock like that. He could be set up or late in shot clock situations, give him the rock and let him boogie. You know what I'm saying? AE needs the rock in the flow. So does Trae Young.
But that's, to me, I think that's the incorrect analysis, because Michael Jordan, everybody want to compare Ant to Mike because he dark skinned and because he can jump, and that's cool. But really,
the only reason?
To me, I mean, I don't see Mike at all in
Yeah.
his
Yeah,
game. To
that's
me,
it.
I always see Ben Gordon when I see AE. Like
Oh, man, that's
personally,
so
just
Okay.
that's
Ben
not
Gordon is
disrespectful.
that is
Ben
super
Gordon was
That's
nice,
not
bro.
that is
That's
not
super
disrespectful.
No,
That is
Ben
not
Gordon was
disrespectful.
nice.
You
I'm
talking about
just talking
Chicago
about
Bulls?
I'm
Ben
just talking
Gordon?
about his game. I'm not talking about his ceiling or where he's going to be at the end of his
That's
career. I'm just
ugly,
talking
bro.
about how
Next.
he plays the game. Like Ben Gordon was a heater, bro. The same way
Yeah.
AE, he's like a
Yes.
supreme version of that build.
Yeah, Ben
And
Gordon was scared of
you know what I'm
nobody.
saying? He was killing. But the thing
Yeah.
is, for me, Minnesota needs a floor general, and I'm not in the business of judging players based off of how they play with very dysfunctional franchises. And the Atlanta Hawks are extremely dysfunctional. And I'm not going to judge Trae Young, who's leading the league constantly, either top 3 in assists. And I feel like you need a floor general to orchestrate. And another part of this conversation from Minnesota is that Chris Finch is not the goods either. But we're not
That's
really
what I
having
wanted to say.
that conversation because he got completely spanked by OKC's coaching. He got
Yep.
completely outcoached. He looked like a fool in many of his rotations. And I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves should look at the season as a success because they made that move, hedging on Cat not being a floor raiser or not being someone that can go through the ceiling for that like you want. And you see how that went for the Knicks, but you now have money that you can get off the board, off the books. You have contracts in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, DiVincenzo, and Randall that can be moved. And I think that if you bring in a KD or a Trae Young, you can expect better results.
Okay. Well, let's move to the next part of this question. And I think my assessment of one change that the Timberwolves need to make next year, I think, is for Ant to play fucking better in the Western fucking Conference Finals. Show the fuck up. Because he did not. He got cooked. And he's supposed to be the guy. So, based on this series, did Anthony Edwards remove himself from the top 8 in the face of the league discussion?
No, I don't think he removed himself, but I think we're questioning it because at the end of the day, he has a sensational regular season and then a pretty good postseason like he did this year. He's right back at it, Ken. It's not like he's out of the circle. He's just halfway in, halfway out.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say he is right. It's gonna sound like I'm on Bale's Bosman. He is right at where he needs to be. In my
He's 23.
opinion. He may be above where he needs to be, honestly, or he should be, because through everybody's journey that we talk about, because I see all the comments, Ken. I see all the comments. You can shake your head all you want. I see all the comments. When Giannis, before Giannis had his championship run, did we not question him even with those MVPs?
Absolutely.
When Joker had his before his championship run, Ken, did we not question him when he had those MVPs?
We did, but nobody else did.
When even with Luka and his championship run, even though he didn't win one, we still question him now. Like even with LeBron, when he was doing everything he could outside of calling himself Jordan, the first 9 years, even when he went to the finals and he lost, like we question him. We question all the stars once they get out of the the honeymoon phase of them, where we see somebody we've never seen before make a name for himself, have a personality, all that, and we think, okay, they're gonna take us to the top, or they're up next, and then we see them struggle. I don't think anyone thought this would be sweet. I'm just more so thinking that, Ken, I'm not disagreeing with you saying he didn't he needs to play better. Of course, to me that's an understatement. But to me, I grade him like how far he's gotten so far already at 23, like FIFO said. Like back-to-back Western Conference Finals. We didn't expect that this season. And we're going to talk about another team we didn't expect to get to the conference finals either. So it's like, how I can't say that you shitty or you had a bad season when you in the final
I think
four.
it's an overrated run, bro.
Okay.
It's all runs.
Okay, so here's where I just was aghast at the coverage besides Nick and I think maybe FIFO were sharing my opinion. Bro, I was flabbergasted. I really just taken aback at the rigmarole and the hoopla that was going on last week. I really feel as though that we are so spoiled as NBA fans and we engage in so much revisionist history when it comes to 22 and 23-year-olds. I think Anthony Edwards is right where he should be. The only two people that have done what Anthony Edwards has done in the last two Western Conference Finals, making it back-to-back, leading his team. And I'm willing to talk about his flaws after this, so we'll do that. But if you're talking about Kobe freaking Bryant and LeBron James, they were 22 and they went to finals. Okay, one had the most dominant big man ever, and another one put up 25 straight points against the Bad Boys Part 2 to get to the finals. And by the way, he got swept by the Spurs, and ESPN and all the media said he couldn't get at least one game. He couldn't get, if he's really Michael Jordan, how come he can't get at least one game? The dumbest shit you hear, because you're 22. Michael Jordan, these people don't really come into their own until they are really 27, 28. Start having real, putting it all together. And I'm tired of people in the chat, and I'm tired of Celtics fans talking about some Jason fucking Tatum, because Jason Tatum is not asked to carry the Celtics, and he never has been asked to carry the Celtics. This nigga has had Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, he's had Marcus Morris, he's had Terry Rozier, he's had Brad Stevens load up teams from, he's had Sixth Man of the Year, he's had defense player, Kristaps Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, all these people that are around him as a supporting cast. And y'all want to compare these three instances of Tatum's teams, LeBron James, and Kobe freaking Bryant with Shaq to a nigga who has Julius Randle as his number 2. That is basketball malpractice. That analysis is flawed as fuck, and I am not standing for it. Yes, Anthony Edwards needs more than 5 points. I wanted to see him get more involved off ball. You can still have effort with rebounding, set picks. I want you to be a demon on defense. I want you to get steals, turnovers, force it. Yeah, for sure. But if you're going to tell me that OKC are just a team of straight young demons on defense, look at what OKC did to a team like the Timberwolves, and then compare what they have in terms of player talent. You're asking DiVincenzo to get you 20 a game. You're asking Nickeil Alexander-Walker, journeyman guys, versus this number 1 defense 2 years in a row. I think it's just a wash, and Anthony Edwards is right where he needs to be.
Q, I'm with you, except for the fact that where was all the energy from other people when the series started? Everybody was talking about how great he was. So we can't come back now and walk it back and say, well, he's only 23. When before we were saying he was already there.
Walking shit back. I ain't walking shit back.
That's what it seems like.
No.
Nick should have been bailed.
When we made our picks, we going off of what we think is going to happen based on what we believe, what we see, and who we think is going to take it to the next level. I didn't expect, based off expectations, I didn't expect the Timberwolves to get this far. But the fact that they did, I'm like, shit, they may be there, and I think Ant can get them over. And no one believes in OKC on this program to say that they were even. No one believed, because I asked multiple times. I'm gonna keep mentioning that. I asked multiple times who believes in OKC to get to the Western Conference.
You were their biggest hater.
We're gonna find out when we make our picks. But all I'm saying is, when Ant took this team that far, I'm like, oh shit. This may be something special, and I'm willing to bet on something special versus what everybody else is already saying, at least in Vegas and the media saying OKC's going to run away with it. Because outside of Vegas and the main media, we did not say that at all. And I asked multiple times so I can gauge what's real and what's not. So that's why I'm going off with a guy that I fuck with.
Hey Sheldon, why can't two things be true? Why can't you say why can't you say this is a great player and they just ran into something they need to learn from? Like why does it have to be an indictment on the person on the player's game just because they weren't able to overcome this hurdle this time? Like, and we are specifically talking about a team sport. Like niggas constantly make it seem like this one player, and he just talked about Scottie Pippen. Like I mean niggas talking about a top 50 player all the time that he need to go get. They don't just fall off the damn tree, Spike. But my opinion is, you can be great and still have to learn how to overcome hurdles. Like he was not supposed to be here, first of all. And a lot of people who picked him is because they are more fans of Ant than they are of Shea. And that's really what it comes down to. You could be a fan of somebody and make that pick. But I also feel like we're sitting here like saying like, oh, because he didn't do this, he's not deserving of all the praise that we gave him. Nah, give him a chance to grow.
Well, I would like I said, I would agree wholeheartedly if it was tempered when the praise was given. Once again, we gave so much praise that there was no room for below average performances. And what he did to me was, there's nothing wrong with playing bad. I don't have a problem with playing bad, but not showing up, that's two different things. If you're crowning somebody as the face of the league, that's a different expectations. Y'all ain't shot nobody else no bill. If you're supposed to be at that level, I expect that level of expectation, that level of play from you. If you shoot over 20, you're gonna take them shots and the ball, and you're gonna do everything around like you said.
That's a dumb thing to say.
Why is it? But to come back, like I said,
one mic.
He was cool. He was cool with me until he came out and was like, "Well, I did what I was supposed to do." That right there killed it for me, as far as that goes. I'm not shooting him no bail after that.
But stay over there.
Try to resolve yourself like I ain't got nothing to do with it. You can't do that, man.
And,
not as a league.
But I also want to point out too, like the same defense also made who is probably the best player in the league look pretty pedestrian most of the series before this one. Yeah, we're making it seem like he just went up against some lackadaisical defense. Now, again, I'm not trying to shoot him complete, like saying he's complete absolved from this. I just think niggas are piling on to Ant right now because it's fun to do it right now. As far as like, we always feel like everybody's supposed to live up to this certain expectation, and they're supposed to succeed when they make it to the stage. Like, we don't give them the chance to actually grow and learn. And niggas make it seem like Jordan didn't constantly face the Celtics and constantly face the bad boy Pistons until he finally broke through.
Yeah, like he lost those games, but he battled in those games. It's two different things.
I was just going to say the difference in that.
That's what I'm saying.
Even when you mention Kobe and a young Kobe, you talk about those air balls in Utah. It was like he still went down swinging though. The problem that people have with Ant is he didn't even try. Like it's not that you didn't get there. It's not any of those things that you were mentioning, Jalen. It's like it looked like you weren't even trying. And then when they ask you about it, you say, "Oh, I made the right plays." That's not what we're used to hearing from people who are alpha males on a basketball team.
Kobe did that against the Phoenix Suns. He refused to shoot the ball, and then he
quit later in his career. Though he had championships by then.
He don't matter, bro.
But he was still prime.
Can't afford to do that. No, Ant can't afford to do that right now.
No. We're not doing that, Spike. We're not doing that. We're not doing that because now you're holding a great, a bona fide legend to a different standard, to a guy that you're talking about right now, when they should be held to the same standard. If we're projecting that is the trajectory of Ant Edwards, we can't say, "Oh well, Kobe already." No, wait, hold on, bro. You already spoke. You already spoke. And you put your foot in your mouth, and I'm just trying to help you take it out. So let me do that for you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the
pause. With you into there, but nonetheless,
look. Look.
Proceed.
At the end of the day, Ant Edwards does need to get better. Ant Edwards does have to have a better finals or a better end to his season, right? And go down swinging. At the end of the day, we can attribute a lot of those things to either the personnel, the coaching, and his age. Like Jalen said, two things can be true. He can be great and still have to learn how to overcome.
Mentality. What about mentality?
I don't think we have to question his mentality. We have to question. Wait, hold on. We have to question strategy. And strategy from not only wait, hold on. It's not a cop-out. I'm giving you facts. It's not just a strategy from it. I'm trying to explain it. It's not just strategy of you learning how to get your shots, exactly how and when to get your shots, to control the flow of the game, that everything goes through you, but it's also the coaching and putting the others in the positions to help contribute to that. And we know that, first of all, he doesn't have the second best player, is not up to par to get beyond a stacked team like OKC. That's number one. Number two, somebody mentioned it, where he got thoroughly outcoached. Finch got thoroughly outcoached. And then the strategy. Did I not say, I forgot what game it was, but we did the show like right after the game, and I was saying they need to move Edwards off the ball when they put Caruso on him, and it was like, bro, you barely getting past the 3-point line, you're not getting nothing. They need to move him off the ball and get the ball to him in positions to score versus him creating it. That's strategy, bro.
Two things can be true, Doc. Though Ant is extremely talented, but B, he's not top 8. Y'all overestimated where he was at this moment.
Who's your age, Sheldon?
All right.
Who's your age?
Hold on. Track's agenda said we all pick Minnesota regardless of all of these takes. Nah, hell nah. I didn't pick Minnesota.
Yeah,
I picked the Lakers to beat.
I thought Ant mentality was different. I thought it was different.
Yeah, but
regardless of what people say,
I picked OKC, but I definitely thought Ant was going to.
Me and Ken the only ones picked OKC.
I picked OKC. I picked Denver over OKC, but I picked OKC over Minnesota.
But okay, now we need to talk about SGA because he didn't have any issues. I didn't see him having any issues at all.
Because the refs helped him out.
That's the mentality that you want.
Hey, and who's their second best player? Who's their second best player? Who's their fucking roster?
They got a plethora. They got a plethora of dudes.
Williams their second best player.
SGA is 26, so I felt like that 3-year difference, it matters, bro. It's a lifetime in the NBA, bro. You know,
at 23, SGA was learning the game. True, because he was not where he is.
It was a story out just recently with Patrick Beverly telling SGA like, "Now you that dude," and SGA didn't even have it in his mind. It was like when he was 23 years old.
You talking about AE? You mean Anthony Edwards?
Patrick Beverly played for the Clippers with SGA
and Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly went up to him and told him like, "Bro, your mentality needs to be that I'm a superstar," and SGA did not have that mentality. And I think that kind of goes to what we were talking about.
Well, he's Canadian. So did SGA prove himself to be the best player in the NBA during this postseason?
No. Hold on. Before y'all do that. For Ken to bring up that point is kind of crazy though, because literally last year you was the one dogging SGA because he didn't make it past the second round against Denver. So you can't have it both ways.
It's a different year, Jalen.
Ken, no. It's a year difference. It is a year difference, and Ant made it farther than him both of these years. So why does it seem like it skirts? Oh, he finally made it through. Like it took him to learn from last year in order to get to where he's at this year.
And I've been saying and questioning, wondering, asking the panel, why can't OKC go to the finals this year when they've been proving themselves to be better this year than everybody else? Also, the way I dogged SGA last year, I'm going to hold that same energy for Ant this year. And I think the run that they went to the Western Conference Finals, as I pointed out, that believe last year, I think was a fucking fluke. Steph got hurt. We cannot ignore that shit.
It's a fluke 2 years in a row, Ken?
Bro, Steph was hurt.
I'm just asking. They did it 2 years in a row, though.
Last year was last year.
They did it this year, though. They did it this year.
Okay, hold on. Wait. Spike, I'm not understanding. I don't think I'm understanding why you're asking this question when I'm saying the reason why they got to the Western Conference Final is because the Warriors' best player was hurt.
That would be easy to say if they didn't do it this year as well. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm pointing out. Like, yeah, you can say that was a fluke. They shouldn't have been there. The best player was hurt, but they also repeated and done it again.
It was a different team, a different set of circumstances. The point is that if Curry was playing this year, odds are they don't get past this team because I picked the Warriors. We cannot overlook that injury.
I mean, if KD don't go to the Warriors, LeBron got 3 more rings, and I don't care. Like niggas,
that's what I'm saying.
The circumstances are the circumstances, but it does matter. But they are the circumstances.
Yeah, my thing is, if my grandma had wheels attached to her, she'd be a bike.
That's the thing. But that's the thing, though. But see, that's the thing is, it's very important for us as an insulated group to talk about the narratives that we make and the narratives that we stick to versus what national media, ESPN, and Fox talk about. I never bought that whole Anthony Edwards is the giant slayer, whatever the fuck they were trying to say. But like all that shit is marketing, bro. Like they're trying to sell Adidas shoes. That's cool. But LeBron is 38, 39. Anything that he wins just adds into his case. And I am holding him to a double standard of I don't care if he loses because everything at this point in his career is just an additive. Curry is out. So I agree with Ken, but that is what happened. They did take advantage of him being out, and they won that series. Him and Jokic last year, that was an all-time great series, and I give that to him. But beyond that, this whole narrative that we keep putting on Anthony Edwards, I'm not falling for any of that shit. he himself keeps saying, I'm not the face of the league. I'm a lead at the Wemby and them. He keeps saying that. So it's like, I don't hold him to that standard. I do hold him to being a great player, and I think that he's going to continue to develop. I thought that he made a lot of strides as a playmaker this year that people didn't really pay attention to. But there needs to be better roster construction, and there's going to be a coaching change in the next year. So that's where I'm at.
What about SGA?
Yeah, to your question about SGA, he gained my respect a lot this postseason run, Ken. If I feel like this is almost like the Eagles, where it was like eventually you're just gonna have to acknowledge that they're good.
Never.
And my issue ain't got nothing to do with really SGA. I know he does the floppy fouls and all that shit. And OKC gets away with the most fouls that don't get called on defense. But it was more so my questioning of OKC had to deal with the whole Sam Presti experiment and how that was going. And so far, he's 4 games away from proving that he's one of the best GMs of the last 20 years.
I think he's already.
If they win this finals, I'm saying, listen,
it ain't got nothing to do with the finals. Like he's already proven.
Well, to me, it's like you ain't proven until you win something.
No, GMs don't have to win a championship to be one of the best GMs.
I disagree. Come on,
I
disagree.
No, look at their roster.
Everybody
would agree. Everybody in the NBA. I'm just saying. Everybody in the NBA agrees that this is the best roster, top to bottom. That
I agree with Nick.
In the NBA.
I'm just saying this, Lou. If OKC lose the Indiana this series, are you gonna still say Sam Presti's one of the best GMs the last 20 years?
100%. Because who's the African cat that went to Toronto from Denver? Masai Ujiri, and he was already considered one of the better ones, and he hadn't won nothing, and he hadn't done half of what Sam Presti has done.
I think
Sam Presti. Hold on, Q. Sam Presti has drafted 3 MVPs and traded for one before he was an MVP. And then if we're talking about your favorite word, Nick, development. Look at all of the guys that have been developed in OKC. Right. Like in that first stint, dudes like Perry Jones, dudes like Thabo Cephalosha. Like we had dudes that developed to their max potential in that system, and he's done it multiple times over. And not only draft guys, but trade for. You can't talk Sam Presti.
I just want to say one thing, Lou, and somebody can agree. Lou,
I hope you say it, Nick.
Because to me, and I don't know if you think where I'm going with this kid. To me, it's like if you're around a lot of bad bitches, but you don't hit none of them. Right, it's like to me, it's just like that's Sam Presti right now. FIFA, he got all these bad bitches, and you ain't been with none of them. But you
Hey, when you dropped the MVP, you been with one of them.
All I was gonna say,
I need at least the ring.
All I was gonna say is that Masai's Nick is right. We looked at Ujiri different when they won the title.
Exactly.
Well, they had Scott Brooks,
Billy Donovan. Masai didn't have every like he hadn't done what Sam Presti has half done. Masai never drafted an MVP.
I'm just saying that when he won a title, that's when people started to give him a lot of props.
Of course,
I think y'all. I'm not
saying. Go ahead.
I real quick, I was just gonna say I think y'all putting that title stuff way too high for a GM when they got a lot to do with coaching and players. If I draft Kevin Durant, if I draft James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Chet Holmgren, like I've drafted all of these players. I traded for SGA. He's done his job, bro. He's done his job at an elite level.
No,
I ain't got shit to do.
How do we look at the Phoenix Suns?
What do you mean?
Guys, I feel like what the case of Sam Presti is he's cemented himself as a great drafting GM, but I think history parses that out. Like, I feel you, but that's drafting really. And I think what history does is history separates guys that have really good drafting and really good player development skills versus guys that have that and they also win mad championships. And I think that there is a second category.
Give me an example.
Name one.
Okay, the Spurs GM. I think that him having
RC Buford.
I think that RC Buford has cemented himself not only as a development guy,
also had the greatest coach of all time.
It don't matter.
I feel you. I feel you. But didn't R.C. Buford in that group either come together at the same time, or he promoted Pop from within, from not being a basketball player, from not being a basketball guy?
Y'all are taking points away from Sam Presti because he has.
I'm not though. I'm saying that a ring cements the fact that all that development led to the ultimate goal. If we're going to criticize the players for being 23 and not getting to the fucking finals, then I'm going to criticize the GM who has the ability to draft all these MVPs, and there's nothing to show for it besides, damn, Presti's in a what if category right now. A lot of guys in 20 years, yes, he is. If he doesn't win a championship, do you realize that there will be documentaries talking about the what if Thunder? Man, what if they just beat they were favored to beat the Heat in 2012 and they didn't?
We were doing that to Boston.
They're going to even be worse. They're going to say it's a Seattle curse.
I'll say this. Look, like if there's a proverbial line that crosses you into this GOAT territory of GMing, a championship does move you across that line way faster. You can get across that line without a championship. And all I'm saying is that Sam Presti has crossed that line, not only because of the guys that he's drafted and also the roster construction, also the guys that went undrafted, a la Lou, like if you ask a GM what is the job description, is what Sam Presti has done.
Facts.
No, it's not.
Let's revisit this conversation when the finals are over.
I know we gloss over SGA. We gloss over SGA. SGA deserves his props. He's an MVP. First time as an MVP in the finals since Steph did it in 2015. Steph did it last. I know back then. So shout out to SGA. He earned my respect. But I'll be damned if you want me to give respect to a GM that ain't got no ring or rings. Fuck out of here. The whole point is to build a championship roster. That's what the whole point is. Some of
the greatest teams of this generation.
And what they win, Lou? Besides your respect.
In terms of talking about SGA, I will say this. I feel that he has finally mastered his game. I don't like some of the calls that he gets. I feel like they bail him out a lot, but that's not to take away from his skill set and the mastery of the mid-range game and the herky-jerky game that he has. It's a more beautiful Tyrese Halliburton type of game where it's unfiltered, unkiltered. Like you really can't coach it; you just perfect it if that's your game, and he's done that. So I definitely give him props. And he's overcome, and then. Big gesture when he won the MVP, getting the whole team rollies like that. That's what a class guy does. So shout out
y'all
to
don't be wasting y'all time arguing about questions that we didn't ask, and now y'all want to ask.
Ken froze up on it.
You see? Ken, you froze.
What happens?
He froze up on that dig he was trying to do.
No, but he asked, do we think that SGA is the best player in the NBA? I still can't give him that yet.
Who you got?
I personally just side with Jokic because for him to push that Thunder team to 7 when they had really 3.5 guys serviceable at any given point, with Mike Malone and the GM getting fired right before the season. I mean, right before the postseason, I got to give Jokic number 1 personally. Just seeing what he was able to do, I think Giannis.
Where is SGA ranked for you?
For me, he is top
3?
5. To me, he is top 5. Like I think he's definitely top 5. He could be 3.
You got Giannis.
I got Giannis, and then I wouldn't be mad if you say SGA is right there. So like
the only reason, and I agree with you, Q, and I put him second or third too, and I agree with you because I feel like this team would still be a playoff team if he wasn't on it.
What?
I agree.
I think this team is deep.
Is that
what I'm saying? Yes, yeah. What I'm saying is
go to me and FIFO point with Sam Presti.
Yeah, the team it's a deep team as far as the players that can play the game, and I think that this team would still be a good team.
How did team get deep like it?
The GM, and I agree. Yeah.
All right.